I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and part 2 of a dogfight between the HTC One S and the HTC One VX kicks off right now. It's part 2 of a dogfight battle between two kind of mid-range, high-mid-range, low-high-end devices. It's kind of hard to distinguish in today's smartphone market, but these are two devices I'd certainly consider carrying, and I imagine you would as well. The One VX is an HTC device that's available now on AT&T, kind of a little brother of sorts to the One X Plus, and it's available for $50. So the price point's really good. The specs are pretty decent. 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, a 4.5-inch QHD display, 5-megapixel camera. So yeah, you're not getting 8 megapixels, but still decent camera with 1080p HD recording and HTC's ImageSense chip. And then you get Android 4.0, so a little bit behind there, but Sense 4.1, which is a decent update to HTC Sense. And again, at $50, not a bad price with 4G LTE. Then over here, T-Mobile's HTC One S new paint job, black and red with microarc oxidation, also known as MAO. And it's got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, a slightly smaller 4.3-inch display that's 540 by 960 pixels here as well. And then you've got HSPA plus 42 megabits per second over on this device. Front-facing cameras on both. So you know what, fast 4G over here, fast 4G on this, just HSPA plus versus LTE. And this is available for $50 as well. Love the form factor of the One S. I've loved it since Mobile World Congress last year. The One VX is really nice as well. It's got a bigger battery, a 1,810 milliamp hour non-removable battery over here, 1,650 milliamp hour non-removable battery over on the One S. I'll go ahead and tell you, when it comes to a battery test, the One VX wins out. Neither one is exceptionally fantastic by any means. And granted, I'm coming from using devices like the Droid Razr Max, the Note 2, these devices with big batteries. I say I get about 12 hours of moderate use with this one. I get about 10.5. So again, negligible differences. And a lot of this is going to depend on what you use the device for. That said, it's not the greatest in the world, but this one is slightly better on the battery front. One thing I really wish HTC would include, I've told them this in multiple meetings, I really want to see a physical percentage by the battery. I want the option to do that. Instead of having to go into settings, click down here, go to battery, or power rather, and see, you know what, battery level, and it gives me some arbitrary battery meter here. I can see battery use, granted I can go into the percentage, but still out of the gate it gives me this arbitrary battery level. It doesn't do that in Sense 4 Plus, but it does do this in Sense 4.1, which ironically is dated a little bit later. 4.1 sounds like it's a better version, but it's actually a lower version than Sense 4 Plus. Same thing over here. You go to power, which I just skipped out of. Let's go back into power, and you can see the same thing. Compare that to something like the Note 2, where you got your physical battery meter right up there that you can add right by the battery thing. We'll wait for that to focus in. And you can see that it's nice to have that physical percentage indicator up there so you can see exactly where your battery's at. Now, also want to talk about briefly in part 2 a couple of different things. But before we get into that, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game on the site at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll deal with unbiased opinions. So if you want AT&T or T-Mobile or Sprint or Verizon, they'll help you find the device that's best for you at Best Buy Mobile. So let's jump right back into this. I want to talk some more about the personalization on these devices. So you get personalization, but you'll find that between Sense 4.1 and Sense 4 Plus, like I was saying in part 1, there are some differences. And yeah, they may not seem like a lot, but I think in 2013, where it's all about the software, it's all about the personality of the device, it's less about the specs, because honestly the specs are kind of getting to a point where all the devices are almost the same, minus 1080p displays and great cameras and Android 4.1 or 4.2. They really got to distinguish themselves amongst software options. And we'll take a look here, for example, at Gallery. So see Gallery here, and this is a dogfight obviously between these two devices, but take a look at these. No photos found versus the One X Plus. And let me see, even though I don't have any photos in this one, see if I can pull it up. So you can see the way the Gallery looks, where it's different in Sense 4.1 versus Sense 4 Plus. Also, and not to bring in another device into the dogfight here, but I want to show you some of the differences here between 4.1 and 4 Plus. Let's go into Compose, for example, on the keyboard, on messaging, and then let's go into messaging over here and Compose as well. And it's going to be hard to see on the camera, but take a look at the keyboards, and you'll notice between the Sense 4 keyboard, Sense 4.1 rather, and the Sense 4 Plus keyboard, there's a difference between the look and feel. The keys are spaced a little bit further apart on the One X Plus than they are on the One VX and the One S. Now these are the exact same keyboards, so keep that in mind between the two devices. But you know what, if you've never been a fan of HTC's keyboards, I wasn't a huge fan of these keyboards. I thought the keys were spaced too close together, and this is what came on the original One X. Then the One X Plus came out in the Droid DNA, and this keyboard is absolutely fantastic. A huge improvement over the keyboard right here. Still, we're going to take a look. 4.5-inch display over here. Again, portrait to landscape, pretty easy. And we can jump back and forth between that. Quick Brown Fox is back in black. Quick Brown Fox is back in black. I can't say that. The Quick Brown Fox is back in black. Quick Brown Fox is back in black. So, you know, relatively easy to type on. The autocorrect isn't bad by any means, but again, keep in mind that personalization isn't quite there. Let's take a look at speed tests as well. We're going to load up a Dallas server. I don't know why this one's coming up on Wichita. Let's see if we can get these changed with our GPS. Dallas, Texas. And this one's taking a little bit longer than I would like. Let's go into settings and quickly make sure location stuff is turned on. Let's go ahead and get that sucker up. And let's see what we can do here with Wichita. We may just run it with Wichita and see if we can get it switched over to Dallas afterwards. So we'll do a quick test here just to see. Now obviously Dallas is home for AT&T, or one of the homes, Dallas and Atlanta, for AT&T. So speeds have been incredibly fast on LTE. In the Dallas Metroplex, I mean, I easily see speeds between 15 and 35 megabits per second on the download, and on the upload anywhere between 12 and about 25 megabits per second. So you're seeing right here 16.30 megabits per second, 10.62 megabits per second on the upload. And still not sure why that one's not coming out of this Dallas, Texas server. Maybe having some issues with this server, so take this with a grain of salt. Yeah, it looks like network communication. Let's try this server and see what we can get on T-Mobile's HSPA Plus. So we're loading it up right now. Ping, download, let's see what it can do. Unfortunately, this one looks like it's still sticking on Wichita. And you can see this is an HTC thing as well, this awkward menu button, although you can get rid of it by going into settings, and let's go. And it still shows up in random applications, but let's go down and change it over here as well. Recent apps. We're going to press that for menu, and then we're going to go back in here. And that's easy. There we go. You can see it's gone now. That awkward HTC menu button gone because this has become the menu button. To press it, press and hold to access recent applications. 9.36 megabits per second, 2.13 on the upload. So still fast, but not as fast as AT&T's LTE. And I can tell you Sprint and Verizon's LTE works relatively well in this area also. Let's also do quadrant standard. It's a lot of alsos in one sentence, but you know what? Let's do quadrant standard. Keep in mind, 1.2 gigahertz dual core CPU here, 1.5 gigahertz dual core CPU over here. Not sure why that just stopped. Let's try that again. Not custom, run full. And let's see what we can do between these two devices. Pardon my voice, I'm still kind of sick from CES. Got sick, got better, got sick again. Typical CES plague, despite the fact that I took a bunch of zinc, a bunch of vitamin C about 2 weeks before I left. Just can't get over that CES plague. So it's running through right now. You can see this one's running a little bit faster than the One VX. This one's kind of taking its time over here. And again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not indicative of day-to-day performance. I find that both of these are reasonably fast throughout the day. And again, keeping in mind, most of these devices are really similar when it comes to overall speed throughout the day. I don't really see any difference between these devices. They both are pretty fast with their dual-core S4 CPUs. But this one's running as well. Let's see what we can pull up on a quadrant standard score. And this one's running. Let's do this, let's do this. And I'm going to put down in the comments the Antutu score as well, so you can kind of see a comparison between the quadrant standard. So look for this little comment thing that's showing up right now. Those are the score difference between quadrant standard and between Antutu. So on quadrant standard for the One S, 5,395. Over here, 5,249. So again, a pretty negligible difference between quadrant standard on the One VX and on the One S. So keep that in mind between the two. Speed's pretty negligible when it comes to that. Camera on both of these, 8 megapixels here, 5 megapixels on the One VX. Both have 1080p HD recording, and both have HTC's image chip. Now this isn't going to be an official camera test by any means, but I just want to show you some of the minor differences here. Settings, we can load up both of these and you can see 5 megapixels, image resolution 8. You've got the video quality, review duration, all the different options over here as well. ISO, white balance, as you do over here, but I love HTC's image sense chip here. Let's take a look. You can hear it taking pictures, and I can do the same thing over here as well. And the pin came in right there in the middle, and so we'll save that, and you can see, I'm sure at some point the pin slid across, And yeah, it's a blurry picture, but you know what? You're taking a picture of a football game or taking rapid pictures, and you can do this kind of with video as well. So I've got video running here. I can take still shots also. So you know what? If I've got the One X Plus over here, I can hit some stills and easily snap those, and you can see those appearing in the right-hand corner. You can do the same thing over on this device as well. We'll go ahead and delete those. We'll delete that one, and we'll go right back. Pardon my sniffly nose, and we'll go ahead and record. Bam. And I can take HTC pictures all day long once it focuses in. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. I can take those stills right as I'm moving through the video camera. So that's a nice little touch as well. So it's a tough battle, you know, because both of these devices have slightly different specs, and I think for a lot of people it's going to depend on what you want. If you want the bigger display, the One VX does have slightly more screen real estate. If you want the better camera, the One S has a slightly better camera, slightly better megapixel rate, or megapixel count rather, on it than it does on the 5 megapixel One VX. They both have Android 4.0. It's kind of a wash there. The battery's better over here. 4G LTE is a nice touch. The winner of the dogfight is the HTC One VX on AT&T. This is an incredible smartphone. I still love the form factor of this phone. I still think it feels better in the hand than the One VX. Just comparing them hand to hand, I think the One S feels better than the One VX. That's obviously subjective. You may like the way this one feels better. It may have a bigger feel to you and you like it. But I will say, this one feels great in the hand. Still a great device. I mean, almost a year later, I'd still carry this as my daily driver if I needed to. That said, the One VX, bigger screen, bigger battery. It addresses some of the issues we had with the One S when it came out at Mobile World Congress, and you really need that little bit bigger battery, given the fact that HTC Sense is kind of a hog when it comes to resources. The bigger battery is certainly nice, even though I wish it were removable. Beats audio on both are fantastic. Build quality is fantastic on both of these devices. All in all, for $50, you really can't go wrong with either of these devices. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of the One VX and the One S. Let me know what you think. If you've got a compelling reason why you like the One VX or the S, I'd love to hear from you. I'm on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron. Personal account's Aaron C. Baker. And then Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Hit us up on G+, or Google Plus rather as well, at gplus.to/PhoneDog. Any method, I'd love to hear from you as to which one you like more. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage of these devices and more. More dogfights to come, so stay tuned. And as always, we'll see you next time.